All right. Next question for today is about infrared sauna tents. It says, "Hi, Matt. It appears that you don't really care for infrared sauna tents. Would you mind telling me why and if you know of one that is truly low EMF? I'm in a small space and funds are tight. Thank you." Sandra. Okay, Sandra. No, not Sandra. Anyway, I don't like tents because I'm a bigger person and it's hard to get in them. And almost every tent that I test is super high EMF, even though they say that it's low EMF. So, for me personally, I've tried the domes, I've tried the tents. In fact, I've still got another tent. I've got the relax sauna in the other room there. It's just not comfortable. I don't really want to be zipped up like this and have my arms sticking out the thing. And for me, what it is the legs. So my knees are basically like this for however long I'm in there. You know what I mean? I can't really stretch out. I can't really move around too much. I can't stand up without letting all the heat out of the bag. I just prefer something that's a wooden sauna that's stand up, that accommodates a bigger person, that's more comfortable. Quite frankly, that looks better. If you're going to put a sauna in a master bedroom or in a certain part of your house and it's going to be seen, a nice wooden sauna that has interior lighting with a glass door, it looks really elegant and it kind of adds to the, the appeal of the room or the house or whatever. It depends on where you put it. But, I just don't like tent saunas because they're just uncomfortable. And I had one of the domes for a little while. I did a review on that. I'm not going to crawl down on the floor and, slide in this thing and all that stuff. And it was like, I can't remember what the retail price is because they gave me a demo unit to test. I didn't get to keep it, but I think it's like $2,000 plus a few hundred extra if you want like the floor pad. So for $3,000 or $2,900, I could get a stand-up, Radiant Health sauna with a glass door that's going to work a lot better. You're going to get a much better sweat. Looks a lot better. Long term, it's going to be worth more. Like if you wanted to resell it, there's a lot more people that would buy, a nice wooden sauna with a glass door and has interior and exterior lighting and all this stuff rather than just a canvas, metal frame dome that you put on the floor. And for me personally, I just don't fit well in them. I don't like the idea of having to crouch down and like get in anything. There are some other things on the market like the Sauna Space tent. And I think there's like a Creatix or Sauna Fix, or I can't remember the exact names. The thing that I don't like about the porous fabric tents is that when I made a near-infrared bulb sauna a couple of times, I did a shower conversion first where I completely walled off the shower with an insulated door, put the bulbs in there with a little stool, sat in there, which is completely sealed. And I had to add supplemental heat. I had to go to Walmart and get like a space heater and stick it in there for it to even get hot enough to get a really good sweat. It was taking like 45 minutes, and I was having to rotate on the stool like a little rotisserie. I really didn't appreciate all that. Like, you're only getting heat on one side at a time. So you are basically, you'll stay on this side for 5 or 10 minutes, and you'll try to, you'll get as much sweat, and you'll tolerate the heat because it gets really intense. It's a very focused beam right on your torso. So it's very difficult to get like a leg sweat or an ankle sweat or a full body sweat or begin river sweating, I guess. And so you'll stay like that for a few minutes and then you'll turn. And then you'll turn. And then, so it's just, I don't like that kind of stuff. And I had a hard enough time when I was in a sealed up, insulated shower with supplemental heat to get a really good sweat in a reasonable amount of time. The idea of having a porous cloth sauna tent is not appealing to me at all. I've seen people, that come out of those, and at first I was like, well, maybe I just don't sweat well, or maybe this, or I was trying to like justify it in all kinds of ways. But then I go in a far infrared sauna that has really good coverage, and I sweat like a banshee in like 10 minutes, and I come out and I'm just dripping sweat. You can see, it's not that the near infrared stuff doesn't heat you up eventually. It does. It's just, if you're going to use something like that, I'd recommend not using a tent. I'd recommend putting those in a wooden enclosure or some type of custom insulated enclosure. I've talked to several people who have built things like that. There isn't anything on the market that I know of that makes that. But if you had to choose something like that, I would probably go with one of those foil-lined type of things over a porous material, because at least it's going to hold the heat in more. It'll actually preheat in a reasonable amount of time, and you want it to stay in there for over an hour just to get a decent sweat. There's nothing that you can do about having to spin around like a rotisserie. You cannot stay on one side for the entire duration of the session. It's just too intense. That's not the way that they're designed to be used. You'd have to be really far away from it, and then it would start to ruin, how much you do sweat or where you're coming into contact with that narrow band of heat. Aside from that, I'm trying to think of, if you go on YouTube, you can see my review. One of the first things that I bought was like a Durherm portable sauna tent from Amazon. I think it's like $500. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's the second one. There was not a relax sauna. There was a whatever the cheaper all black sauna tent from Amazon is. It's like $100 or $200, $250 maybe, somewhere under there. It's less than $300 for sure, because the Durherm is considerably more expensive at $500. I've had them both. The cheaper one was definitely high EMF. The Durherm was lower EMF, but you got a solid 8 to 10 milligauss magnetic field at the backrest. Back then, I wasn't really testing for electric fields or body voltage or anything like that, so I have no idea what the electric fields would be. I'm sure that if the magnetic fields aren't mitigated, the electric fields are not. So, that would be a compromise. It's a little bit higher EMF than you like to see. I don't know if the fabric or the material of the tent is VOC free, and that's another thing. Personally, I like to use a wooden cabinet. I don't really worry too much about VOCs with lumber, as long as you're buying a sauna that doesn't have plywood or formaldehyde or anything like that. I like it if they use a water-based glue. Most of them do nowadays. So you don't really have to worry about contaminants and stuff like that when it heats up. I mean, it's just wood, right? I'm trying to think of what else. But in a nutshell, I just haven't had a good experience with sauna tents. It's not my favorite thing. But yeah, it's not something that I recommend. But if there's other questions that I missed, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Have a great day.